adjust my emerald dress one final time before stepping through the polished doors of Aveline's on the bay. The restaurant radiates luxury. Crystal chandeliers scatter light across white tablecloths. Silverware gleams under carefully placed lighting, and floor-to-ceiling windows showcase the San Francisco skyline as twilight deepens. This is the kind of place where even the most modest wine exceeds my weekly grocery budget. My parents' 35th anniversary deserves nothing less. I even wore these uncomfortable heels that pinch my toes with every step. Tonight matters. The invitation had clearly stated formal attire. I complied. Mom notices me immediately, her silver-streaked hair styled in an elegant updo that complements her burgundy gown. She glides across the marble floor, pearl earrings catching the light. "Skylar, darling, you made it." Her smile doesn't quite reach her eyes as she air kisses my cheek, her perfume enveloping me. "You'll be sitting over there with the little ones." I pause mid-step. Following her gesture, my eyes fall on a small table tucked into the corner, where my 9-year-old nephew Owen and 7-year-old niece Riley are coloring on children's menus. My stomach drops, heat rushing to my cheeks, hands trembling slightly. I turn to survey the main table, stretching grandly across the center of the private dining room. 12 elegant place settings, crystal wine glasses, fine china, and silver candlesticks. Every adult family member has a seat. My brother Evan sits beside his wife Melissa, heads bent in conversation. My sister Camille laughs at something her husband says. Aunt Lorraine, Uncle Robert, cousins Jennifer and David, even recently married cousin Stephanie and her husband enjoy prime seats. Only I, unmarried and alone, am confined to the children's table. There must be some mistake, I say, my voice small against the cavernous room. Mom pats my arm like I'm still a child. "We needed you to balance out the children's table. Someone has to keep an eye on them." A memory flashes. Thanksgiving 5 years ago, when I'd brought Alex, my boyfriend. We sat at the adult table, drinking wine and engaging in discussions about politics and property. No one questioned my place then. But now, without a ring to validate me, I've been relegated to crayons and kids' meals. The quiet voice I've been trying to ignore speaks up again. I'm 29, running my own business. I've spent years seeking their approval, balancing achievements against their disappointment over my non-traditional path. Yet this public demotion feels like a final blow. A waiter approaches with a colorful menu adorned with cartoon seafood characters. "For the young lady," he says, avoiding eye contact. I can't tell if he senses my humiliation. Owen looks up from his coloring. "Do you want to use my blue crayon?" I have green too. I fold the menu and stand. "I need to make a business call," I say, desperate to escape this corner. Mom's expression tightens. "Really, Skylar? During a family celebration?" Dad glances from the main table, bow tie slightly askew against his crisp white shirt. "Your work can wait for one evening, princess." The nickname, once endearing, now feels diminishing. My siblings exchange subtle looks, pretending not to notice. Evan whispers to Melissa, who hides a smile behind her napkin. The realization hits me. This isn't just about seating. It's about my identity being invalidated. To them, my unmarried status eclipses everything I've accomplished. 6 years building a design studio from the ground up. The recent $3.2 million commercial renovation I secured. Outcompeting firms twice my size. The Architectural Digest feature that described my work as innovative yet timeless. None of it seemed to matter because I don't have a husband. "I'll be right back," I said, heading toward the restrooms before anyone could protest further. In the quiet hallway, my hands trembled as I pulled out my phone. I texted Elena, "Change of plans. I'm celebrating tonight, just not here." Her reply came almost instantly. "What happened? Are you okay?" I typed quickly, feeling both ridiculous and justified. They seated me at the kids' table, literally, with crayons. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, then reappeared. "Get out of there." That's beyond disrespectful. Standing alone in the corridor, with its tasteful sconces and abstract art, I faced a decision: return to the corner and endure humiliation, or walk out and deal with family consequences. Memories of past dismissals steeled my resolve. My summa cum laude graduation, barely acknowledged. That's nice, honey, but don't focus too much on your career. The purchase of my Oakland loft met with cautious praise. Good investment, but don't wait too long to find someone. Single women alone can be targets. I did a quick calculation. Spend the next hour shrinking myself to fit their narrow definition of success, or preserve my dignity. I returned to the kids' table and gathered my purse. "I've been called away on an emergency," I told Owen and Riley. Owen looked genuinely disappointed. But you just got here. I squeezed his shoulder gently. I know, buddy. I'll make it up to you, I promise. I cast a cold glance toward the main table where conversations continued without me. Mom noticed first, rising halfway from her chair. Skylar, don't you dare! I walked out back straight, chin lifted. Whispers erupted behind me like sparks. But for the first time in 29 years, I chose myself over their approval. The maitre d' called a car and I waited under the restaurant's burgundy awning. The San Francisco night wrapped around me, indifferent to family drama. Incoming calls buzzed on my phone. I silenced them one by one. Elena's text appeared. Where should I meet you? I glanced back at the glittering windows. Behind that glass, my family celebrated, perhaps forgetting the empty chair at the kids' table, or weaving stories about my selfishness. Tonight, I understood something new. Their approval isn't worth my self-respect. Meet me at Firefly, I texted back. We had a better reason to celebrate. The Mission District wine bar felt like stepping into another world after the sterile luxury of Avelines. Edison bulbs glowed warmly over exposed brick. Vintage rock posters framed the bar where tattooed bartenders poured generous glasses. No crystal chandeliers. No judgment. Just conversations that didn't revolve around marital status. Elena burst through the door, wind-blown curls framing her face. She spotted me immediately, weaving between tables with the purposeful stride that intimidates opposing attorneys. Her amber eyes narrowed as she slid into the booth across from me. Tell me everything, she demanded, unwrapping her scarf. Don't leave out a single detail. The words spilled out. The gleaming restaurant, my mother's cold air kiss, the tiny table with crayons and cartoon menus. You should have seen their faces when I left, I said, twisting my napkin like I'd committed a grave social sin over a seating chart. Elena leaned forward. This isn't about tonight, Sky. It's a pattern. She was right. The kids' table was the latest insult in a long campaign of diminishment. Remember the Callaway Project presentation? I asked, recalling Mom introducing me as still figuring things out, despite running my firm for 6 years. Elena nodded, jaw tight. Or last Christmas, when Dad praised Evan's stable accounting career for 15 minutes, then asked if I was still doing that decorating thing. A waiter, a bearded man with kind eyes, noticed my white-knuckled napkin grip. Rough night? Elena explained, ordering a bottle of Cabernet. I continued. When I bought my loft, Mom had said, "That's great, dear, but don't wait too long to find someone." Single women alone can be targets. Elena scoffed. As if your safety depends on a husband. Dad was worse. He called my business a nice hobby until you settle down. The memory stung, though 3 years had passed. Even after the Architectural Digest feature on the Harrison Building renovation, his only comment was, "Impressive, they let someone your age handle something that costly." The waiter returns with our wine. I take a long sip, letting the rich flavor settle before speaking again. Every achievement is always qualified. It's never enough. They focus on my lack of a wedding ring. My voice falters. No professional success will ever outweigh my failure to secure a husband. Elena reaches across the table, squeezing my hand. That's their flawed standard, not yours. I whisper, the realization sinking like concrete in my stomach that I've spent my adult life chasing their approval. Graduated summa cum laude, built a 7-figure business from scratch, purchased property before 30, all in hopes they'd finally acknowledge my success. My phone buzzes. Mom, then Dad, then Evan. I silence each call, one by one. Every family gathering, the same questions, who I'm dating, never what I'm designing. Christmas, Thanksgiving, birthdays. There's always a remark about my biological clock or being too selective. I take another drink. Last Thanksgiving, I continue, Melissa asked if I'd considered freezing my eggs because I'm career-focused. Your sister-in-law is uniquely awful, Elena mutters. Remember Jason's wedding reception? I press on. Mom seated me with her friend's single sons instead of my cousins because networking mattered. Elena raises her eyebrows. The orthodontist with the toupee. Despite it all, I laugh. And the podiatrist who discussed foot fungus through 3 courses. My phone lights up again. Camille now, the family alarm fully triggered. Why am I still trying to prove myself to people who will never truly see me? Because they're family, Elena says simply. We're wired to seek their approval. Their approval isn't worth having on their terms. The words feel revolutionary as I speak them. I recall last Christmas dinner. Cousin Stephen, recently married but running a failing landscaping business, receiving endless toasts while my most profitable year went unmentioned. The pattern is suddenly clear. My phone vibrates relentlessly. 57 missed calls, 23 texts. I power it off, enjoying the satisfying finality. No achievement will ever be enough without a husband beside me, I admit. The anger I've felt all evening hardens into resolve. I'm done trying, Elena studies me. Do you think they realize how hurtful this is? The question surprises me. I've been consumed by my own pain, never considering their perspective. I admit reluctantly. Mom grew up in a world where a woman's success was measured by marriage. She married at 22, had Evan by 24. Evan, her identity is entirely tied to being a wife and mother, Elena adds. I pause over Dad, abandoned at 12, having a complete family matters most to him. They're not cartoon villains, Elena says. They genuinely believe pushing you toward marriage is helping. I stare into my wine. That belief makes them dangerous. They are convinced they're right and will never stop. They cannot understand success outside their narrow definition. Elena continues, your independence threatens their worldview. They're genuinely puzzled by your reaction. I realize they cannot see the cruelty in their actions because, in their minds, they're showing love by trying to fix my life. My anger softens, replaced by sadness for what our relationship might have been if they could truly see me. Elena refills our glasses. So what now? Holiday dinners? Family gatherings? I don't know. I cannot continue to accept their behavior. You wouldn't tell your clients to tolerate this treatment, Elena reminds me. She's right. I'd never advise a client to remain in a relationship with someone who diminishes them repeatedly. If you need space, my guest room is yours. But remember, you have options. Your financial independence gives you freedom most don't, she adds. I nod, appreciating the practical advice. I don't have to decide tonight. Maybe therapy could help, Elena suggests, a neutral guide through family dynamics. My phone remains dark, but I know messages continue piling up. 30, 40, 50 missed calls. The family is in full crisis because I've disrupted their narrative. For the first time, I choose peace over obligation. Terrifying, yes, but also liberating. I'm done shrinking myself to fit their definition of success, I say, finally raising my glass. Elena clinks hers against mine. About time, I wake to my phone vibrating on the nightstand. Squinting, I freeze. 107 unread messages, missed calls. The events of last night rush back as I step out of Aveline's, my emerald dress swaying in the evening breeze while my family watches silently from the doorway. For the first time as an adult, I chose myself over their approval. I lean against the headboard, bracing for the flood of notifications as I scroll. Mom, Skylar Elizabeth Thompson, call me immediately. Dad, your behavior embarrassed the entire family. I expected better. Evan, congrats on ruining Mom and Dad's anniversary. Really mature. Camille, you made Mom cry. Happy now? The messages blend into a chorus of guilt and judgment. Overreacted. Tantrum. Selfish. Embarrassing. Childish. My chest tightens with every word, and the urge to apologize rises instinctively. Then I notice a message from Aunt Lorraine. Timestamped 2:14 a.m. You did nothing wrong, Skylar. That seating arrangement was cruel. I'm proud you left. I read it 3 times, struggling to believe it. My mother's sister, the family mediator, validating my feelings. The tight knot around my chest loosens slightly. Returning to the group chat, I read their messages more closely. Something clicks. Using my designer's analytical eye, the one that spots when a client claims they want modern but sends traditional. Inspiration, they're all using the same. Language, tantrum, overreaction, nothing. Mom to Camille. Your sister had a tantrum over nothing at dinner. Dad to Uncle Robert. Skylar overreacted to a simple seating arrangement. Evan to Cousin David. She stormed out over nothing. Typical drama. They're controlling the narrative. If everyone agrees it was nothing, I must be the unreasonable one. But Aunt Lorraine's message proves not everyone accepts their version, meaning deep down, they know they were wrong. Why else justify it so meticulously? My design mind shifts into problem-solving mode, categorizing their tactics. Guilt, you made Mom cry. Obligation, after all we've done for you. Dismissal, it was just a seating arrangement. A new text arrives from my parents. You clearly overreacted last night, but we're willing to overlook it if you apologize. Sunday brunch, 11 a.m. at the house. 6 months ago, I would already be drafting an apology. desperate to smooth things over. But now I see the manipulation. The assumption that forgiveness is a prize to be earned. Clarity brings power. I type a reply, delete it, type again. Finally, I send, I need space. I'll reach out when I'm ready. Her response is instant. You don't take space from family. Dad follows up. We expect you Sunday, period. I silence the notifications and turn to my laptop. A major client presentation in 3 days deserves my full attention. Family drama will wait. 2 days pass in a blur of fabric swatches, lighting plans, and contractor meetings. Thursday evening, the doorbell rings. Expecting Thai food, I open the door to my parents standing in the hallway. Mom pushes past me. This has gone on long enough. Dad follows, bow tie perfectly straight despite the casual setting. You're acting like a child, which is why we seated you with the children, he says. I close the door slowly, taking a deep breath. We stand in my living room, surrounded by my work. Custom furniture, architectural awards, a framed architectural digest feature. For the first time, I notice my father's eyes scanning the space. The high ceilings, Lake Merritt views, Italian leather sofa. This is my domain. Respect goes both ways, I say calmly. You seated me with the children because I'm unmarried. Mom waves dismissively. You're making a mountain out of a molehill. I gesture to my magazine feature. This isn't about seating. It's about respect. Dad's jaw tightens. This attitude will exclude you from future family events. 6 years ago, that would have crushed me. Tonight, I'm willing to pay the price. If that's the cost for boundaries, I'll pay it, I say quietly. They leave without hugs or goodbyes. I close the door, expecting guilt and tears, but feel relief instead, as if a heavy suitcase has been set down. 20 minutes later, my phone rings. Elena's name flashes. Your mom just called me, she says, skipping pleasantries. I'm bringing takeout. Wine or whiskey? By the time Elena arrives with bags of comfort food, my apartment phone is ringing. Aunt Lorraine's voice comes through the speaker. Your mother called me ranting, she says. But you did the right thing, Skylar. Healthy boundaries aren't rejection, they're self-respect. I slump onto the sofa, a mix of relief and sorrow washing over me. Part of me feels lighter, yet there's a quiet grief for the relationship I had hoped for. You're not rejecting family, Elena says, unpacking containers of pad thai and green curry. You're rejecting disrespect. My phone buzzes with a text from my nephew Owen. Miss you. When are you coming over? My heart tightens. Owen and Riley are innocent in all this. The kids shouldn't be collateral damage, I tell Elena. I text Owen back. Miss you too, buddy. I'll see you soon. How's the science project coming along? Setting boundaries with my parents doesn't mean shutting everyone out. Some relationships deserve preservation, even if they function differently. My business line rings. It's the VP of the tech company whose headquarters we're renovating. You knocked it out of the park with that presentation, Skylar. The board unanimously approved your vision. As I hang up, the contrast is stark. In my professional world, my ideas are respected. My expertise is valued. Only in my family do I still feel inadequate. Elena pours wine as 2 friends arrive, summoned by her rapid texts. They bring dessert and unwavering support, gathering around the dining table for an impromptu celebration. To being valued for who you are, Elena toasts, raising her glass, not who others want you to be. Surrounded by these women who truly see me, I realize I'm not alone in claiming respect. The family I've chosen understands what my family of origin cannot, that my worth isn't defined by a wedding ring. For the first time since leaving Avalines, I feel genuine hope. Establishing boundaries doesn't mean permanent estrangement. It might even create healthier relationships. If my parents learn to see me as I am, great. If not, I already have people who do. I survey my studio office with the same critical eye I apply to client spaces. Design boards line the exposed brick wall, each representing a 6-figure project. Client files are neatly stacked on my glass desk, color-coded for different phases. Everything is orderly, methodical, controlled, just as my approach to family will be from now on. A week has passed since the confrontation at my loft. My phone shows 23 unread messages from my parents, each intentionally ignored. The notifications no longer spark anxiety. I see them as data points in a pattern I'm beginning to understand. I pull up my digital calendar and review upcoming family events. Owen's birthday next Saturday, Memorial Day at the lake house 3 weeks later. Each occasion requires a decision: engage and establish boundaries, or step back and maintain distance. The designer in me sees a familiar challenge: preserving structural integrity while implementing necessary changes. If this were a design problem, I murmur, tapping my Mont Blanc pen, what would the solution look like? The initial rush of triumph after confronting my parents has faded. That moment when they left my apartment, shocked by my refusal to apologize, was exhilarating. But emotional highs don't last, and they don't create a strong foundation. Strategy, not satisfaction, is needed. My thoughts drift to Owen and Riley, their birthdays, school plays, soccer games, all moments where innocent relationships could suffer if boundaries aren't carefully managed. I am not in conflict with them, but maintaining these connections while keeping distance from my parents requires precision. I open my notebook and write relationship assessment at the top. Down the center, I draw a line. On the left, I list relationships to preserve: Owen, Riley, Aunt Lorraine, maybe eventually Evan and Camille. On the right, I note non-negotiable boundaries: equal treatment at family gatherings, recognition of my professional achievements, no marriage pressure. As I write, the pattern becomes clear. My success unsettles them not because of malice, but because it challenges their idea of a woman's role, a vision my mother defined and my father reinforced over decades. I can't change their perspective, only my response. This realization settles over me not with sharp sting, but steady truth. I'm no longer devastated, nor am I coldly cutting ties. I am simply redefining the terms on which I engage. I'm simply preparing for the inevitable family encounters ahead. My assistant knocks lightly on the doorframe. "Your 2 o'clock is here early." I nod, closing my notebook. "Thank you, Rachel. Give me 5 minutes, then send them in." Once she leaves, I reach for my phone and text Dr. Lambert's office to confirm tomorrow's appointment. The family dynamics specialist came highly recommended by Elena, who emphasized that seeking professional guidance isn't admitting defeat, but adding another resource to my toolkit. Over the past week, I've documented every interaction with my family, the phrases that trigger defensive reactions, the strategies they use most often. Dr. Lambert recommended this systematic approach, treating family communication patterns like any other data set to analyze. I've also expanded my support network beyond Elena. Our weekly dinner dates continue, but I've reached out to Aunt Lorraine, whose texts often begin with, "Your mother doesn't know I'm telling you this," offering intelligence from behind the scenes. The books on my nightstand have shifted from design magazines to titles about boundaries and adult children of emotionally immature parents, research approached, with the rigor I apply to any major project. I'm no longer pursuing direct confrontation. Instead, I'm building long-term infrastructure, reviewing finances to confirm full independence, instructing Rachel to screen calls during work hours, and setting designated family contact times that I control. In my desk drawer, I keep a small notebook with scripted responses for common pressure tactics. When Mom says, "Family doesn't take space from family," I can reply, "Healthy families respect each other's boundaries." When Dad threatens, "You'll be excluded from family events," I respond, "I hope not, but I won't attend if I'm not treated with respect." I'm not cutting ties completely, but I am creating a framework for limited, healthy contact. My phone buzzes with a text from Evan. "Mom and Dad expect you at Owen's birthday Saturday. They say you need to apologize first." My stomach tightens, the first emotional reaction I've had all week. I consider skipping the party to avoid drama, but that would punish Owen, not my parents. Alternatively, I could concede just for my nephew's sake, slipping back into the old pattern of shrinking myself to keep the peace. Either choice feels like losing. Reading Evan's follow-up text, "They think you're being selfish and ungrateful," it's clear. My parents aren't reacting emotionally. They're strategizing, recruiting allies, and applying pressure. This isn't just hurt feelings. It's a campaign to restore their authority. I set my phone down and take a deep breath. The challenge has escalated, but my resolve hasn't. I'll speak to Owen directly about his birthday. After texting back, I put the phone aside. My 2 o'clock client will be waiting. I stand, smoothing my skirt and checking my reflection in the small mirror behind my door. Professional, composed, determined, exactly how I'll handle this family situation moving forward. No more reacting, only responding on my terms. On Thursday, I apply a final coat of sealer to the sample board for my Silicon Valley client, admiring how the reclaimed redwood contrasts with the brushed steel accents. This renovation will transform their sterile headquarters into something with soul, exactly what the CEO requested when choosing my firm over competitors twice our size. Crossing the finish line? Elena asks, leaning against my office doorframe. Just sent the last mock-ups to production. I carefully place the board on my drawing rack. A $3.2 million project wrapped up. My phone buzzes with the special vibration I've assigned to family. I don't reach for it. Another Thompson family production? Elena raises an eyebrow. I nod, turning back to my desk where I've arranged a different kind of project materials. A leather-bound notebook labeled Family Communication Plan, a stack of index cards with pre-written responses, and a single-page document titled Statement of Boundaries. It's like prepping for the Anderson pitch, I say, tapping the boundary statement. Know your talking points. Anticipate objections. Maintain composure under pressure. The family communication plan sits open to a highlighted schedule. Tuesdays and Thursdays, 7 to 7:30 p.m., only designated times for returning family calls. The rest goes to voicemail, preserving my mental space during work hours. On the corner of my desk sits Owen's birthday gift, a professional-grade architectural model kit, ordered from Germany, wrapped in paper covered with dinosaurs wearing party hats. Its sight warms me, a reminder that not all family relationships need recalibration. So tomorrow you'll see Owen? Elena asks the day before the party. Aunt Lorraine will meet me there as a buffer. I tap my calendar. I've booked a rideshare. No chance for them to control transportation or make me dependent. My phone buzzes again. 5 missed calls in the last hour. They're persistent, Elena notes. Predictably so. I flip to my notebook section labeled Anticipated Tactics. Below, guilt, dismissal, and flying monkeys. Health concerns are highlighted in red. The latest voicemail was creative. I press play and put the phone on speaker. My mother's voice fills the room, trembling but deliberate. Skylar, your father had chest pains last night. The doctor says it's stress-related. Do you want him to worry? Call us immediately. Elena's expression hardens. Wow, that's low. I almost called right away, I admit. Then I recall Dr. Winter's advice on manipulation tactics and show Elena the text from Aunt Lorraine. Charles had indigestion from Teresa's spicy meatballs. The doctor gave him antacids. Don't fall for the drama. Your aunt is the MVP here, Elena remarks. Before she can say more, my phone lights up with Camille's name. Against my better judgment, I answer. They're trying Sky in their way, my sister says, her tone gentle yet persuasive. Dad's really upset. Mom thinks family therapy might help. Can't you meet them halfway? I take a deep breath and scan my index cards until I find the one labeled sibling pressure. I appreciate your concern, Camille, I say, following my prepared words. But I'm not responsible for managing their emotions regarding my boundaries. Her voice softens but remains insistent. But they're your parents. They love you. Love also means respect, I respond steadily. I'll see Owen tomorrow at 3. Please don't turn his birthday into an ambush. I hang up and return to my preparations. Elena observes as I sort. Through response cards with the same precision, I apply to fabric swatches. You're applying your client presentation skills to family. Drama, she comments. This requires the same focus as $1 million project, I reply, rehearsing scenarios in my mind. Higher stakes, actually. The evening passes in methodical preparation, reviewing potential confrontation points, practicing techniques for maintaining composure, and identifying trigger phrases to avoid emotional reactions. No victories today, only careful planning for what lies ahead. Returning to my apartment, I clean thoroughly, knowing a calm environment supports emotional balance. I review work emails one last time, then place Owen's gift by the door with deliberate care. My nephew deserves the best version of Aunt Skylar, not one distracted by family power struggles. My phone buzzes with a final text from Elena. You've got this. Remember why you're doing it? I reply simply, I'm nervous, but ready. Standing by my living room window, I watch San Francisco's lights shimmer across the bay. 6 months ago, I would have been desperate for my parents' approval, willing to minimize myself to avoid conflict. Now I feel calm determination. Tomorrow will be challenging, but I am prepared. Whatever ambush awaits, I've built my defenses with the precision that once earned me a feature in Architectural Digest. I review my boundary statement one final time. I am a successful adult deserving of respect. I choose relationships that honor my worth. For the first time in weeks, I sleep uninterrupted. Friday afternoon, I pull into Evan's driveway, Owen's gift wrapped in bright comic book paper and topped with a large blue bow. I check my reflection in the rearview mirror, smooth a wrinkle from my blouse, and take a deep breath. The timing should allow a private aunt-nephew moment before his party. Something feels off. My mother's silver Cadillac and my father's black Lincoln occupy the circular driveway. My stomach tightens. This was supposed to be just Owen. I consider leaving, but the thought of disappointing him keeps me in place. I grip the steering wheel, knuckles whitening, and whisper, "You prepared for this," running through the mental script I practiced with my therapist. I carry Owen's gift and approach the front door. Before I can knock, it swings open, revealing my mother, her smile tight. "Skylar, what perfect timing. We thought it would be nice to have everyone together. Everyone is indeed there." Beyond her shoulder, I see not only my immediate family, but what seems like the entire Thompson clan gathered in Evan's spacious living room. My Aunt Doris examines family photos on the mantel. Uncle Robert sips a drink from a crystal tumbler. Cousins Jennifer and David huddle near the fireplace. Even my grandmother sits regally in Evan's armchair. My father rises from the sofa, his voice grave. Family issues should be resolved as a family. The setup hits me. This is no coincidence. It's an ambush. A calculated gathering designed to overwhelm me and force compliance through public pressure. Evan stands behind my parents, avoiding my gaze. The brother I trusted orchestrated this trap, this family tribunal disguised as a casual gathering. Camille hovers near the hallway, forming a subtle barrier to a quick exit. Owen spots me across the room and runs toward me, unaware of the tension. "Aunt Skylar, you came." I kneel to his height, focusing on his gap-toothed smile. "Happy early birthday, buddy. I brought your gift. Can I open it now?" he asks, bouncing with excitement before I can respond. My mother steps forward, her voice carrying clearly through the suddenly silent room. Before the presents, Skylar has something she'd like to say to everyone. The assumption takes my breath away. My father adds, "We've been very patient with her little outburst. Every gaze in the room fixes on me, the weight almost tangible, like the air before a storm. This moment, designed to corner me, exposes just how desperately they need to stay in control. I stand, maintaining the calm expression I've practiced for weeks. "I came to celebrate Owen," I say evenly, suppressing the anger building inside. "Not to perform." Camille steps forward, her voice smooth and falsely gentle. "Can't you just apologize and move past this?" "We're family." "There's nothing to apologize for," I reply. The words so familiar they come automatically. "I deserve respect." My mother's expression hardens. "After all we've done for you, this is how you repay us?" With pride and defiance. "I won't discuss this at a child's party," I answer firmly, using the boundary statement I crafted with my therapist. The words feel like armor. A small movement catches my eye. Aunt Lorraine crosses the room to stand beside me. Her quiet presence offers unexpected strength. Some cousins exchange uneasy glances, the once united family front beginning to crack. "Let's all just calm down," Evan interjects, finally speaking up. His attempt at peace fails in the charged silence. "I am calm," I reply, surprised by the steadiness of my voice. "But I'm leaving." Owen grips his gift, confusion clouding his small face. I gently squeeze his shoulder. "I'll see you soon, buddy. Enjoy your present." I turn toward the door, gift delivered, boundaries upheld, dignity intact. The exit I planned is now my only option, but my father moves quickly for his age, stepping between me and the door. "You're not walking out on this family again," he declares. Arms crossed. The room goes silent, tension at its peak. My heart beats hard, but my voice stays level. "Move aside, Dad." He stands firm. "Not until you show some respect." The stakes sharpen. His physical block crosses a line that can't be undone. My mother joins him, forming a united front. "We raised you better than this selfishness," she says coldly. "What you're doing now proves exactly why I left that dinner," I respond, loud enough for all to hear. The statement lands heavily, echoing in the quiet. Owen's lip trembles. He hugs his unopened gift and begins to cry, overwhelmed by the tension around him. His tears shift the atmosphere. Aunt Lorraine speaks first. her normally soft voice cutting through the room. Charles. Margaret, you're ruining your grandson's celebration. Uncle Robert sets his glass down deliberately. Let her go. This isn't right. My father's jaw tightens. His last tactic a quiet threat. If you walk out that door, don't expect to be welcomed back. The words hang between us. 6 months ago, that ultimatum would have crushed me. Now it only confirms that I'm making the right choice. That's your decision. Not mine, I reply, meeting his eyes steadily. He holds my gaze a moment longer, then steps aside, surprise flickering briefly across his face. I walk to the door, spine straight, steps measured. At the threshold, I turn back, unafraid. I'll be at my home tomorrow if anyone wants a real conversation. The door closes behind me with a quiet click that sounds like freedom. On Saturday, I adjust the throw pillows on my sofa for the third time when the doorbell rings. My stomach tightens as I check the clock. 11 a.m. sharp. The punctuality is unmistakably Margaret Thompson opening the door. I see exactly what I expected. My parents standing side by side in the hallway. Mom's hair is perfectly styled. Her camel coat open to reveal a coordinated sweater set. Dad stands just behind her, his jaw tight in that familiar line of disapproval. Neighbors pass by, nodding politely. The public setting is no coincidence. My parents have always used witnesses to maintain appearances. Come in, I say, stepping aside. My voice sounds calmer than I feel. They enter. Mom's eyes sweep the room, taking in the walnut coffee table I restored, the statement light fixture, and the framed page from Architectural Digest showcasing my Nob Hill project. You've turned the whole family against us, Mom begins abruptly, not even removing her coat. Dad folds his arms. Your behavior is unacceptable. I stay standing. I didn't invite you here to be attacked. We didn't come to attack, Mom replies, softening her tone into something rehearsed and coaxing. We're just concerned. For years, I accepted being treated as less because I wasn't married. The words flow from me with surprising clarity. My education, my business achievements, my home, all dismissed simply because I don't wear a wedding ring. That's not fair, Dad interrupts, but I continue. The kids' table incident wasn't an isolated case. It was the latest example of a recurring pattern. Mom's eyebrows lift. You're overreacting to a simple seating choice, she says. It wasn't about seating, I reply, holding her gaze. It was about respect. As your father, Dad begins. As adults, we should treat each other with equal respect, I interrupt. His face flushes. He's unused to being cut off, especially by his daughters. I don't need your approval to recognize my accomplishments, I continue. But if you want a relationship with me, you need to acknowledge that my worth isn't tied to my marital status. Mom's eyes glisten with tears. You're breaking your father's heart. Familiar guilt rises, but I've prepared for this. I know the tactics well. The appeals to duty, the tears, the implication that I'm causing pain rather than responding to it. I'm sorry you feel that way, I say, keeping my voice steady. But emotional manipulation won't work anymore. Dad uncrosses his arms, leaning forward. We only want what's best for you. I decide what's best for me now, I reply. Silence falls. I watch my parents exchange a glance. A wordless communication honed over decades of marriage. Something shifts in that look. An acknowledgement that old patterns won't produce the usual outcome. What do you want from us? Mom finally asks. The question surprises me. It might be the first time she's genuinely asked about my feelings in years. Acknowledgement of my accomplishments, respect for my choices. Dad shakes his head. We've always respected you. Have you? I counter. When I graduated summa cum laude, Dad, you said, "That's nice, honey, but don't focus so much on career that you miss your chance at a family." When I bought this loft, Mom, you said, "It's a good investment, but don't wait too long to find someone." When I landed the Westmore account, a multi-million-dollar project, you missed the launch party for a soccer game that could have been attended any weekend. Dad's shoulders relax slightly. We didn't realize how that looked to you. It's not about how it looks. It's how it is, I reply. Mom straightens. You've made your point, have I? I ask, moving to the kitchen island where my portfolio rests. This is the feature in Architectural Digest. I've had it for 3 months. Did either of you read it? Their silence says enough. I don't need you to understand my choices, I say more gently. I need you to respect them. Mom looks at the magazine, then back at me. Your business is impressive. We should have said so, Dad adds reluctantly. The concession is small but meaningful. From him, it's almost a standing ovation. I won't attend family functions where I'm treated as less than, I state clearly. No more kids' tables. No more dismissive comments about my career. No more questioning when I'm going to settle down, as if what I've built isn't settling. Mom twists her hands nervously, a habit I know well. Will you be at Christmas? She asks, a question loaded with more than its words. That depends on whether I'm seated with the adults, I reply. Dad's jaw works for a moment. Of course you would be. The tension shifts, not gone, but reshaped into something navigable. We're defining new boundaries where none existed. I want a relationship with you both, I offer, but only if it's based on mutual respect. Mom nods, though her expression is still strained. Dad gazes out at the Oakland skyline, perhaps seeing for the first time the life I've built here, a life with its own view and foundation. We should go, Dad says finally. I walk them to the door. I have a client meeting. We can talk again when you're ready to see me as I am. They leave quietly, their steps tentative. I close the door, leaning against it, finally letting the tears fall, not of frustration or defeat, but of release. An hour later, my phone buzzes. A text from Aunt Lorraine. I hear they visited. Are you okay? I wipe my eyes and reply, better than okay. I'm free. For the first time in my adult life, I've set the terms of my relationship with my parents. What felt like humiliation at a restaurant has become the catalyst for an invaluable independence from their approval. I glance at the clock. My client will arrive in an hour. I have just enough time to freshen up and prepare my presentation for the Morrison project, a project my parents may never fully appreciate, yet one that brings me a deep sense of fulfillment. The burden I've carried for years, trying to meet their definition of success while carving my own path, feels lighter now. Not gone entirely, but manageable. I've claimed my place at the table, even if I had to build it myself. I adjust the centerpiece of hydrangeas on my dining table one last time. 6 months have passed since that night at Aveline's, and the memory no longer hurts like an open wound. Instead, it's become a turning point, the moment I finally stopped shrinking myself to fit the box my family had constructed. Elena notices me lost in thought as she sets down a tray of appetizers. Earth. To Skylar, she says, waving a hand. The stuffed mushrooms are getting cold. Sorry, I reply, straightening a linen napkin that doesn't need it. Reflecting on how much has changed. You seem lighter somehow, Elena observes, popping a mushroom into her mouth. She's right. I noticed it at the office yesterday, too. The client from Seattle practically signed the contract before I finished my presentation. Since establishing boundaries with my parents, everything has shifted. Not just my family relationships, but how I move through the world. I sleep soundly, no longer waking at 3 a.m., wondering if I should call my mother. My shoulders relax when the phone rings. I breathe more easily. The Palo Alto project brought in 3 referrals just last week. I'm thinking about hiring another designer, I tell her. Because you're focusing on work instead of family drama? She teases. I nod, arranging water glasses. Turns out, not checking my phone constantly for guilt-laden messages actually improves productivity. Who knew? The doorbell chimes and I welcome my guests, a mix of friends and colleagues who have become my chosen family. As I pour wine, my phone vibrates with a text from Aunt Lorraine. Your stand has everyone talking. You have more support than you realize? Later, after the last guest leaves, a message from cousin Jennifer reads, What they did wasn't right. I admire your courage. Even my sister Camille reaches out tentatively. I didn't understand at first, but I get it now. Coffee next week? Evan's tone has softened as well. While still loyal to our parents, his messages lack the condescension they once carried. The invitation to Owen's birthday arrives with a handwritten note. We saved you a seat. My parents remain distant, though the tension has eased. When my business is featured in a local magazine, I get a brief text from my mother. Saw your article. Nicely done. 6 months ago, those 5 words would have triggered a desperate need for validation. Now I recognize them as minimal support, progress, but not transformation. During our weekly strategy meeting, I tell Elena, 6 months ago, I would have craved that approval. Now it feels nice, but unnecessary. As the holiday season arrives, the San Francisco air crisp and clear. My loft, once dismissed by my mother as an impractical investment, becomes a hub for friends and colleagues. Tonight, I host a dinner party around the table I splurged on after securing the Palo Alto contract. Laughter flows freely. No one questions my life choices or alludes to ticking clocks. These people see me, the successful designer, thoughtful friend, independent woman, not just an unmarried daughter failing to meet expectations. Between dessert and coffee, a cream envelope arrives addressed to my parents. Inside, a Thanksgiving invitation on heavy cardstock. We'd love to have you join us. Formal dinner. Adults only. Those last two words hint at a subtle, meaningful shift. I consider the invitation on my own terms and RSVP, looking forward to it. I'll stay 2 hours. My studio continues to thrive. I hire 2 new employees and lease more office space. Monthly lunches with Aunt Lorraine deepen my understanding of our family history. Camille and I meet for coffee occasionally, rebuilding a relationship based on who we are now, not who we were as children. I maintain regular visits with Owen and Riley, carefully separate from interactions with my parents. At the Children's Science Museum, Riley asks innocently, "Are you mad at Grandma and Grandpa?" "Not mad," I explain while helping her build a magnetic structure. Just making sure they treat me with respect. "Like when you tell me to use my words instead of hitting Owen," she says. I smile at her simple wisdom. Exactly like that. My parents are still adjusting to the new boundaries in our relationship, though old habits occasionally resurface. My mother sometimes says things like, "When you find someone special," and I now respond firmly, "I'm focused on my work right now." My father makes more of an effort, asking about my projects with genuine interest. "The downtown project sounds challenging. How's it going?" he asks. Our relationship isn't perfect, but it has improved. The real difference lies within me. I no longer measure my worth by their approval. Christmas Eve arrives, shrouded in the familiar San Francisco fog. We gather at Montello's, an upscale downtown restaurant that reminds me of Avelines, though the memories will be entirely different this time. I arrive 15 minutes early, wearing a deep green dress that brings out my eyes. The maitre d' guides me to the private dining room where my family is already seated. Unlike 6 months ago, I take a prominent place at the main table, between Aunt Lorraine and Uncle Robert. My mother approaches, her hair elegantly styled, wearing the pearl necklace my father gave her for their 35th anniversary. "You look lovely, Skylar," she says. When their friends arrive, my father introduces me with pride I hadn't expected. "This is our daughter, the award-winning designer. She just finished a project featured in Architectural Quarterly." The acknowledgement nearly takes my breath away. Not the daughter still figuring things out. Not the one working in decoration, but the daughter I truly am. During dessert, Jessica, my newest employee, shares her struggles with parental expectations. "They wanted me to be a lawyer like my sisters. They still treat my work in the arts like it's temporary." I respond firmly, feeling the truth in my bones. Your worth isn't determined by others' expectations. Build the life that makes you proud, not the one that makes them comfortable. Later, I share an announcement I've been planning for months. The Benjamin Thompson Foundation will offer a scholarship for young entrepreneurs starting next fall. "Benjamin Thompson?" my mother asks. "Named after Uncle Ben," I explain. "He always supported my ambitions, even when they didn't fit the traditional mold." I outline my plan to expand the studio to New York next year. My mother's expression tightens. "That's quite far away," she says cautiously. "Will we still see you?" The question reflects how much has shifted, she asks, rather than assumes or demands. "Distance doesn't change relationships," I answer honestly. "Respect does." Across the table, my father observes me, a new expression on his face. "She always was stubborn," he tells Uncle Robert. Now I see it as determination. As midnight approaches, I raise my glass. "To family," I say, looking around the table. "Those we're born to, and those we choose." Later, alone on the terrace overlooking the bay, I reflect on the journey. That night at the kids' table was meant to humiliate me. Instead, it taught me to stand tall. Sometimes the best response isn't confrontation. It's living so fully that those who doubted you can't look away. And if you're lucky, they may finally see you clearly.